Hey everyone, I've got the wrong screen on. Hey, it's me. How you guys all doing? What the heck is going on there? Holy cow, everything's all messed up here today. How about that? Hi. Starting a little bit early because I started a little bit late. So it's Robert. I'm here and we're going to be talking today. This is the afternoon class. So we're going to be talking about importing your contacts into Command via an Excel spreadsheet. And if you haven't done this before, you're going to have a ball because this is going to be different. So here we are looking at, of course, our main page here. And the idea is this. When you have an Excel spreadsheet that has a bunch of contacts on it, now where you get the Excel spreadsheet is kind of irrelevant. You could have gotten it from your phone. You could have gotten it from an export out of another service that you have, like Market Leader Pro or something like that. Wherever you got your Excel spreadsheet from, that's going to be what we're going to be using. Now, I'm going to actually create an Excel spreadsheet here for you and show it to you kind of on the fly, what it looks like. And we're going to generate something, a very simple little Excel sheet. And we'll use that as our example. Let me make sure everything's running here on the side. And interesting. Let me make this. Love that. Gotta love it. Facebook is such a fun tool, and it makes it so easy to do stuff. Gotta love these guys. Anyways, okay. So here we are. Talking about, again, Facebook importing contacts into Command. Sorry for the confusion here. Things got a little wonky and we're getting going here. Okay, so when you're importing these contacts, like I said, it can come from any source that you get, whatever the data that you got from it's put into an Excel sheet. Most of the time, what I find is that when I'm helping people import contacts in, the information that they have is in an Excel or a numbers sheet or a Google sheet. None of that matters as far as where the original data is. What matters is how we take the data that's in the spreadsheet that you have and we convert it or prepare it for import into Command. So to describe this best, I'm actually going to head on over to answers.kw.com here and we're going to look in here. We're going to do import contacts. And this article here is a little bit old. It's 2 months old. So it's been updated recently, but it's a little bit old in my opinion because there's going to be some new changes coming up here. And we're going to find some new things. So there is a video here. And if you want to watch this little video, I encourage it. And it will walk you through pretty much the stuff that we're walking through right now. And it will help you understand how to import your contacts. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this little video, and this is straight from the KW help in Command from KWRI. So let me put that into the chat here, and my chat is here, and we'll go and put that over here, and there we go. So there is this article from the answers.kw.com. And again, this will be very helpful for you to get through. But I want to go through the article here and talk about a couple of things that are important as we go and we walk through this together. Number one is when you get into importing your contacts, if you already have contacts in your database, let's just use a simple example, John Smith. Okay, if we have a John Smith in our database and John Smith has an email address at johnsmith@gmail.com, if you attempt to import an Excel spreadsheet and that contact is already in there, it's not going to update that contact. It's not going to do anything. It's just going to ignore what's in the Excel spreadsheet and it's going to leave what's in your contact database. So, simple statement. If a contact in your database exists and you try to import another version of the contact, nothing's going to happen to the existing contact. It's not going to update. Maybe the Gmail address has changed. It's not going to update a phone number. It's not going to update a street address. Nothing is going to update. It's only going to ignore it. All right. So that's a very important part here because If you do multiple imports, because maybe you've had some trouble doing an import and you try to do an import again, if some of the information got in, then the import is going to tend to fail. And that means that there's going to be already data in the database, so the import will go, there's already stuff in there, so I'm not going to do it. So there's a few things that we want to make sure that we get right the first time so that when we import the data, we don't have to undo anything. So follow along with me here as we talk about this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, and I'm going to go right across this screen here, and we're going to take a look at this process first, and then we will do it through together. So when we import the contacts, we're going to go up here and we're going to click on the import button on the contacts screen. So we're going to go to contacts and click on import. Then we have to download the CSV template, and CSV is an extension, like XLS is an extension, or .doc is an extension for a document on your desktop. CSV is an extension. So when we save our file to be uploaded, it needs to be in a CSV format. Specifically, it needs to be in this format, the format of this downloaded document. So we have to make sure that we download this template and use it. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to have our Excel file, and we're going to have the Excel file that we downloaded from command. We're going to take our data and we're going to put it into that file and use that file to upload. CSV stands for comma separated values, and that's not a very important point, but I'm going to show you how we want to make sure that we get the right kind of file so that it doesn't fail when we go in. All right, so we will upload that file, and then it will go through the process and tell us that it's going through the import. So I'm going to stop here because the rest of it is kind of need to show you. Although there's a lot of information here, like for example, the system will only reliably accept the contact list template if it has come from command. So this is something where a lot of people will try and make their own template. It doesn't work that way. You need to make sure you use the correct template. It needs to be saved as a CSV. There is a 15 megabyte limit. I'm not too worried about that. Frankly, most of the files are not going to be that large. Okay, there's phone numbers that you can have in different formats. I tend to leave mine not formatted, or just like this here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, where there's no formatting on it whatsoever when I do the imports. There is also, when it comes down to the phone numbers, you gotta have one primary number. We'll talk about that as we go. You can include notes, but notes do not include formatting. When you create custom tags, which is a very important part of the import, they need to be separated with a comma and a space, and I will show you how we do that. The address here, you can actually select a label for the address that you've put in there to define it as home, work, rental, vacation, or other. So that's a kind of a neat tool to label things before they come in. And of course, the big one that a lot of people don't kind of get their head around is zip codes need to have that leading 0 for us in New England. And you can do it two ways. You can do it with a text column, or you can do it by formatting the numbers. So I'll show you how you can do that as well. And finally, we upload the file and wait for it to process. We will be notified through the bell icon when the contacts have been imported successfully. We will also be notified if there is fails where the contacts did not upload. And I'll show you how some of those fails can work, okay? So take a look at this article and follow along with it if you want to do this with me here. But more importantly, I don't want you to worry about getting this all the way down through. The most important part for me as your tech trainer is for you to get your data into an Excel file. Doesn't have to be CSV. Just get it into an Excel file, and I can work with you, or if you're comfortable, you can take it to the next level. So let me show you here some of the things that we're going to do. All right, I'm going to open up an Excel file here for you, and to do that, I'm going to switch this. All right, I'm going to show you my Excel. All right, there we go. So here's an Excel file that I have. I've already started working on it here. And this is an Excel file that is not a CSV. I just opened up a brand new Excel file, and it's on my desktop. And so here I have my own personal contact list. Now I'm going to keep this nice and short. You can see that this is some fake data. There's just 1, 2, 3, 4s and some different names here. So what I have is first name, last name. I have phone number, an email, and an address, but I don't have all of the address information here. And you can see that my zip code is also a little wonky because it does not have the leading 0. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in some of these things here, this information, just so I can have it kind of filled out. And only one of these guys has another phone number and another email. So it's not in the format that I need it to be in, but it's my list. So this is my list. It's as complete as it's going to get. And this is what I'm going to use to import into my database. So to get this data into my database, I need to get it formatted correctly. So I'm going to switch back over here and I'm going to show you command, and we're going to look at the command download process to get the Excel file that we need. So over to contacts in command, and I've got that right there on the big button at the top right hand corner. I've got my import button, so I'll click that. And here's that dialog box that we were talking about a moment ago. And we got some help text here. It says command will only accept our pre-made CSV file. I'm going to pause and let you read that, and it's all highlighted. It says command will only accept our pre-made CSV file. Please refrain from uploading CSV files from other platforms as you will receive errors. Everybody good with that? All right, now that we all understand that, we're going to use this download button right here to download the pre-made CSV file for this. So I'll go ahead and click download, and it says down at the bottom of my screen here, and you can't see it up on the window there, but down at the bottom of my screen in my downloads folder, I now have the file that I'm looking for. So that file has been downloaded to my desktop into my downloads folder. If you're wondering where your downloads folder is when you're working with your machine, if you're using Google Chrome, then you can come up to the 3 ellipses in the top right-hand corner of the program, and you can click on the 3 ellipses, and you can see here the downloads folder. And when you click the downloads folder, it will open up and show you what you've recently downloaded, and it will give you an option to view that either in Finder, or if you're using Windows, it will give you an option to view it in Windows in a folder. So right now that's the file that I downloaded, and it's in my downloads folder. So if I click on this file to open it now, and when I open it, it's actually going to open up a separate window. So I will switch over here, and I will now show you my Excel, which is 2 of those files, and I'm going to do that again so that I can see just that one Excel window. Here it is. All right. Of course, it's not making it. There we go. All right, there we go. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit with the text here, and we're going to take a look at what this Excel file has as a format. Number 1, don't change any of the column structure. Don't rearrange the columns. Don't hide the columns. Don't delete the columns. Do not mess at all with the format of this Excel spreadsheet. If you do, you will break the import. These need to be exactly in the order they're in, and they need to be exactly set up the way they are. Even if you think, well, there's an extra column or a row at the top here, I'll delete this. Don't do it. So we want to keep this as clean as possible. This is the number one mistake that people make, is they start going through here and say, well, I don't need that. I don't need that. I'll make it easy for myself. And you break the template. It needs to be very specific. Okay, so you see here we have first name, we have a middle name field, a last name field, and then a prefix and suffix. Most of the time, you're not going to have your names broken down that thoroughly. You may have first name and last name. You might even have, a full name here, like in this field, full legal name. What you need to understand, though, is that without a first name or without a last name, the system will not import it. And I've seen that break 100 times where you forget to put in John here, but you end up putting Smith. we need to make sure that it's got the first name and the last name. Those are two of the absolute required fields. So when we slide up a little bit here, we see that after the full legal name, and I'll keep this here so you can see me sliding a little bit, we get key dates. We have a birthday, home anniversary, and about. This here is like a little kind of, there's a field inside command called about, and it's kind of like a description field or a comment field about this contact. You know, met at Mary's wedding, whatever. That's really what it's about there. The next one up here is where we start to get into the phone numbers. And you can see that it's kind of cut off here a little bit. I'm going to give you an Excel tip here. If you click the triangle buttons in the upper left-hand corner of your Excel spreadsheet, the view right here, if you click that and select all of the cells in the spreadsheet, and then move your mouse, it doesn't matter which column you do this with, but if you move your mouse cursor between two columns, at the line between them, your cursor will turn into a solid black double arrow. And if you double click that, it will make every column the maximum width for the content in the column. And so what that means is when you see the columns now, you're going to see the full width of each of these so that you can see what's in there. So this makes it a little bit easier to read. So we have our home anniversary, we have a primary personal phone number, primary work, other, home, primary cell, primary mobile, other personal, other work, other phone, other home, other cell, other mobile. A lot of different phone fields. Generally speaking, you're just going to use one or two. You might use the primary personal and the primary cell. So keep that in mind. So here's your primary personal. And if you went over here a little bit further, you could either use primary work, or you can come a little further here and put primary cell. I have not run into a situation where people have like 5 different phone numbers, but you can have 5. And this correlates, by the way, to the multiple fields that you have available inside of command when you're entering the contact information one at a time. So this definitely matches up, but it can be a little bit daunting here because you're like, man, I don't have this information. That's okay. The more, the better, but it's also a matter of what you do have. All right, so when we get past all the cell stuff here, we get past all the others, mobiles, other stuff, we get into the emails, and that's by column V. So we finally get into the emails, and we have primary personal email. So then we have 5 different emails. We have primary personal, primary work, primary other, and it just keeps on going. So others email, all right? So we got lots of different emails again here that we can use. Most of the time people have 1, maybe 2. That's going to be all you're going to really need. Now notice what happens when we get into the primary address field. We have the primary address here that's at the top, and then it says address line 1. So the primary address is broken into, the address, city, state, and zip, and all that, and then the label. Now, so we use the term primary here, but we have over here on the left-hand side, we have the term label. So this is where, according to the command documentation, we can say that this address right here is for their home address. And then we have another address over here for their mailing. So maybe the first person, it's their home. And then you also have a second line here, and that one's for their vacation home, or one of the other 5 different labels that you can place in there. So, that's something that you want to think about as far as which one is that going to be. And the labels, again, are home, work, rental, vacation, and other. And that's the labels that you can use here: home, work, vacation, home, work, rental, vacation, or other. Okay, the next address part here is mailing address. Same kind of thing. You have an address, and then of course you have a label. So the second address, the mailing address, can be one of the work, home, rental, vacation, or other. So it does, you can use it in there, but you can only use one time. So what I mean by that is if you put for the first address and that says home, you can't use home over here because obviously you can't have 2 home addresses. So you could put the one here, home, and then the second one on the right, you could put that down as other. So secondary or other. All right. The next section here is we have other addresses. Now this is our company addresses, so we can put a full address in here. This would include 123 Main Street, Dover, New Hampshire, 03290 or whatever the zip code is. So you can put the entire address in this one. That's kind of like that extra field. If you needed 3 fields for address, you could put it in there. You have a company name and title field. So maybe they work at Apple and they're CEO. So you can keep it simple here. Not a lot of people use the company field, but one of the neat things to remember is that the company field is actually one of the fields that contributes to the health of your contacts in your database. If you've taken my Contacts, the Heart of Your Database course, then you know that every little thing counts towards the health of the database, which means better ways to contact and reach out to your contacts. Next up here is we have a stage, qualified, captured, or connected, and you can use those words, qualified, captured, or connected. We can also pull in system tags, and those system tags, we can label them here based on what the system tags are, or we can come just to the right of that, and where it says system tags, select Y if applicable. You can put buyer with a Y under here, seller, have a Y for each of them, or and yes, you can have multiples. So you can put in a Y for multiples on those system tags. All right, and they go all the way down here to downline, and that's one of the other tags there. Now, the next field I'm going to focus on for just a moment, and that is custom tags. What you can do here is you can pre-tag your contacts before you import them into the database. Now, one of the things about that, and the reason we would want to do it, is if you've got a lot of contacts. I did an import the other day with about 500 or 600 people. If you have a lot of contacts, this can save you a ton of time. So for example, maybe this contact is, we know that we have a tag for seller, but maybe this is open house, okay? So we can put an open house in here. If that tag does not already exist in command when you import this, it will create that tag for this database and it will add it and it will apply it to this contact. So you can create tags by importing your contact list here. If you have a situation where you have multiple tags and you want to have 2 tags or more for this one contact, you can do that. So we can put open house, comma, space, Nottingham. So we can put in Nottingham. We can put in 2 tags and we can separate them by a comma and a space right here. And we can do that for as many tags as we need. So 1 tag, fine, no comma. More than 1 tag separated with a comma and a space, and you can put as many of them in here as you need. And you can even repeat that down. So you might have a group of people that attended an open house in Nottingham or something like that. Okay. We have a notes section here. This is what I mentioned where the notes can be brought in, but the notes will not contain any formatting. So you can put characters in here and you can put, like met at the open house in Nottingham, was interested in a house in Burlington, Vermont, something like that. Okay. The next up here is the source area, and the source area is where did you get this lead. So the lead source, if you're familiar with this is in the checkbox or in the drop downs when you're creating the a new contact. This is where you can say that this source is a lead from another agent, from a brokerage, or from a phone call, referrals, open house. So you can put the source in here for that as well. You have a secondary source here so that you can put 2 in if necessary. In the event that you actually have a Facebook link to their Facebook page, to their Twitter page, LinkedIn, Google Plus doesn't exist anymore, maybe their Pinterest. I don't know why on earth they added Pinterest in here. I've never seen anybody actually use that, or their Instagram page or their house page for the houses that they've saved and are interested in. It's kind of getting a little bit long in the tooth, not going to lie. It's a little bit one of those things where it's like, that's not really we're not going to really do that. But if you should happen to have that information, it can go in here. You need to contact me if you have their Pinterest, Instagram, and house accounts, because that will be worth a screenshot. So that is the full extent of all of the columns that can be imported into Command. How many are you going to use? Probably 3 or 4. Let's just be real here. You don't have a lot of this information, especially if this information is coming from a list somewhere. You'll be lucky to get a first name, a last name, and an email, maybe a phone number. Depending on where you get your list of contacts, it will determine how much you get in here. Don't worry, you don't have to fill it all out, but do not delete any of these fields or columns if you don't have it. It will break the template. So now let me switch back over to my other Excel sheet here, and we're going to take a look at the contact list that I've created, and that contact list looks like this. Now, with that contact list, I have created it so that I have like 1, 2, 3, 4 people, and they're not in the same order in my list that they are in the list that we need to put together in the command template. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change up my screen a little bit here. I'm going to move around some things on my screen. And in doing so, I'm going to make things a little funky. You're going to get a little bit of a kind of a behind the scenes here because I'm going to end up showing you I have a 33-inch monitor here, so it's going to end up with a lot of data. So I'll go ahead and do this. I didn't want to do that. I want to bring this back up. There we go. Bada boom, bada bang. All right. All right, you guys ready for this? I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And that is going to be... Which one is this? Wow. I didn't build a special screen for this, so I'm going to have to go and make one happen for you here. So let me go ahead and we'll have to doing this on the fly. That's right, people. We are live and in person. Don't want to do that. Okay, the screen's going to go black. Give me 1 second, and then we're going to have a brand new screen for you here. And that brand new screen is going to contain, if I can get over here and show it to you, it's going to contain my entire screen. And you guys are getting such a behind the scenes look here. It's going to be awesome. So here it is. And this is my screen. Now is that, yeah, okay, you can kind of see that. As I zoom in here, I'll make them a little bit bigger for you. Okay, that one is going to, I'll put that down at the bottom so it gets out of your way. Isn't this fun? You get to watch literally this crazy process, and this is what I end up doing all the time. There we are. All right, so you can see on my screen, I've got 2 Excel files now. So when we look at this, and we have on the right-hand side, that's this file over here. This file is the one that we're going to be using to import our data. So here is the template, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and, I'm just going to leave it like this. So the template is going to be on the right. My real data that I'm going to be importing into the template is on the left. And this information here is what we're going to bring in to this template. So watch what we're going to do here. Here's my first name field. So I'm just going to come over to my data fields, and I'm going to select all of those people. Now, if I have a lot of people, I can just kind of scroll down and select. If you've got a lot of people in here, over 100 or something like that, reach out to me. I'll show you some tricks on how you can select multiples. But here, we're going to select all the people in the first column here, and we're going to right click and choose copy. Now I use keyboard shortcuts, which is Control or Command C, depending on which machine you're on. My machine is a Mac, so I use Command C, but I'm going to do this slow and old fashioned so that you can see the steps that are taken without losing it through the keyboard shortcuts. So here is Command C for Victor, Tom, Susan, and Wendy. I'll come over here to the first name field and put it in the very first row below there, and I'm going to right click and choose paste. So this is pretty easy. Makes a lot of sense, right? So we're going to take the last name field from my data, we're going to copy it, and we're going to come over here and notice that I'm skipping the middle name field, and I'm going to last name. Also notice that when I select here, I'm not trying to select the right amount of cells based on what I'm pasting. I'm only going to select the first cell to paste this into. So I paste it into the first cell, and I choose paste, and that brings all those people in there. We do not have a middle name, so we're just going to leave the field blank. All right. Now, when we have this one over here, this full name field, this full legal name, I'm going to show you something here that is a little advanced. If you look at this and you're like, what the heck just happened? I'm not doing that. Don't worry. I can take care of this for you if you reach out to me, and I'll be happy to help you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to merge the first name and the last name together to create a full name in here using a formula in Excel called Concatenate. And Concatenate is a function that brings things together, brings two different things together. So I'm going to use this Concatenate, and I'm going to select the first cell, put a little comma between there, and of course the space that I need, and then another comma, and then the second cell. Now, all of that is pretty cool. Don't worry about it if you don't know how to use Excel. But what I did was I just used a formula to merge those names together, and then I filled that names list down here by just using the fill handle. The last thing that we're going to do is we're going to convert this from a formula to real data. So we're going to literally copy this as it is and paste just the results of the formula. So I'm going to right click and copy, and then I'm going to right click, paste special, and choose values. And that wipes out the formula and replaces with the actual results of the formula. That's probably way too much for many of you that are watching this. Keep in mind that I'm only showing it to you for those of you who want to give it a shot, that are interested. If I've already lost you and you're already thinking, dude, this is just way too much, who can do this for me? Reach out to me. I'm happy to help. This literally takes me 5 minutes to do. If you get comfortable with it, it takes you 5 minutes. So it's not a big deal, but there are a few steps. And I did warn you before we started this that there were a few steps. Okay. So now that we've copied the first name and the last name, and we've put that together in our full name, the next thing that we have here is our phone number fields. So I'm going to select those phone number fields, and again, I'm going to right click and copy those. And now I got to get creative here because the next field that I had was phone number. And when I go through the template here, I can see that the first phone number field I have is J. So I'm going to go to the primary personal phone, and I'm going to paste in those phone numbers. All right. So I paste in the phone numbers there, and that's all set to go. I don't have any additional phone numbers. So I'm just going to scoot right now. I'm going to go all the way across here until I get to the email fields, and they are in V. And I know that the primary personal email, I do have emails in my template. So I'll come over here and I will select those emails, copy them, and come back over to the template and right click and paste those in. So far, so good, right? So again, I don't have any additional emails, so I'm going to go right past all this primary other. I'm going to get right past all of that. And I notice that I do have in my template, the one that I have with my data, I have addresses. I've got address, city, state, and zip. When I come over here to the addresses in the template, I've got primary address line 1. There's a line 2 option, city, county, state, country, and zip. And the reason I point this out is because I can't copy this in bulk. I can't copy all of this and just paste it in here because they won't line up. So I still need to do things one column at a time. So I'll select first the address, copy it, and put it into address line 1 and paste it. The same thing with the city here. I'll copy the city, and I'll come over to city, paste it in, and you get the idea here, but I'm doing it one by one so that I'm not messing it up. So that was city, state is Dover. How many of you saw that and were waiting for me to not catch it? I know you. We'll put it in New Hampshire here, and I'll use my little shortcuts. So now it's New Hampshire all the way down. So New Hampshire, copy. And of course that goes into the state field. So I will paste it into my state field, and I've got that. Now, I don't have, in my data here, I don't have a country or a zip code, but I do have a zip code. So here's where we get funky now. Here's that, there's these zeros are missing from my zip code fields. So I'm going to go ahead and take it as it is. I'm going to take these with the zip code. I know that they're 03290. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that all the way as it is from my file. And I'm going to put it in the zip code field over here. And I'm going to paste it in. There we go. Now, this is a zip code field and it's wrong because it's missing the zeros. Now, because it's already missing the zeros, so I'm going to slow down and we're going to give you this straight up here. Because the zeros are not in there, the zeros themselves, they kind of don't exist. As a matter of fact, you can see up here in the top there that they're just not there. So if I was to try and format this column right now as text, it doesn't change it and add the zeros. Okay? It doesn't fix it. So I would have to go back through here and retype all of that so that it had the zeros. So that's not something I want to do. But there's another tool that you can use. So let me explain. If you want to use the format the column as text, you need to do that before you enter the data. Because otherwise it's not going to convert and add zeros because it's like, I don't know if there should be a zero there. What am I looking for? So if you're going to do this by entering by hand, convert it to text before you start typing. If you've already got an Excel spreadsheet and you're pasting it in like this and it comes in and it's missing the zeros, here's how you fix it. You're going to want to bookmark this part of the video and pay attention to this in slow motion because it's an Excel tool that allows you to put a leading zero onto a column. Ready? Here we go. Start your timers. So I'm going to select the entire column, regardless of how many I've got for records. And I'm going to come up to on the Home tab in Excel. I'm going to select where it says the general for the currency type here for the number type. And I'm going to choose more number formats. And when I do that, we're going to get a box that pops up. And that box that pops up is the Format Cells dialog. And the Format Cells dialog, you're going to go all the way to the bottom on the list on categories here. You're going to go all the way to the bottom and you're going to select Custom. After you select Custom, you can see here that on the right-hand side, it says Type. Actually, above it says Sample, but right in the middle it says Type, and then it says General. Select the word General. Delete the word General. So remove the word General and put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. Okay, so you're going to put 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Essentially what you're doing is creating 5 spaces for numbers. But because there's only 4 numbers in our zip code, it's automatically going to assign 0 to that 5th space so that this thing will work. So I'll click OK. And now I have leading zeros. Those are not text. Those are actual numbers that are in there now and will export as numbers. Don't be fooled by the numbers that are entered up in the address bar itself or the formula bar. We're talking about what's on the screen here. They will import as zeros. Okay. This is again where we had that label where we can specify whether this is the home address. And we are going to put in home address as all of these. So I'll go ahead and select that and put in home address. Now on my spreadsheet here for my data, I have one other email and one other phone number. So if I want those in here, I can add them. I can add them back over on the other personal phone and other personal email. I'm actually going to leave those off because maybe I just don't need those. Okay, so I'm going to leave those off. However, in the template, I am going to continue past the addresses where we were just at, I'm going to go all the way over here past other addresses, and I'm going to get into the section for system tags. Now, we know that we have a total of 4 people. So I'm going to say that all 4 of those people are sellers. So I will put a Y in all of those fields for sellers. All right. Now I'm using the system tags. So I've got one set of system tags. And maybe those sellers, I met them all through open houses. And I'm just going to, I know that sellers, but I'll just go ahead and put that in there and using those tags. Remember, we talked about creating custom tags with the comma and the space there. So I can do a lot of stuff here. I can add notes. Maybe this one would be for the first one here, Victor Borg, great piano player. Tom Silver loves to collect coins. Susan Lohr, fantastic storyteller. Wendy Cantor, excellent singer. So I could put anything in it I want in here for those people. Again, we can use the notes, we can use source, and all the rest of the stuff here. Most people do not use this other information. Now, I'm going to force an error here so that you can see what it looks like when we get a bad import. So I'm going to make an intentional error. And that is, I'm going to come over here to Victor Borg's name here, and I'm going to take out Victor. I'm going to take out his first name. So I have first name, last name, full name, Victor Borg. I'm also going to take out his full name, so I've only got the last name of Borg. All right. So if I leave this like this, this is going to throw an error because it can't discern the first name from a legal name field because it's not there. And there is no first name field here. So this is going to throw me an error, and I'm going to do that on purpose. The rest of this information, I'm going to leave this okay here, and I think we should be good to go. So now we're at the point where we need to prepare this file, this template. So I'm going to minimize this guy right here, and we're going to talk about just this template right now. So there's my template, and I'll make it nice and big on the screen so everybody can see. So here's my template, and here's what we're going to be putting in to command. All right. So I'm going to save this now. So when I go up here to the Save As, I'm going to go File, and I'm going to choose Save As on my computer. So I'm going to choose File, Save As. And in the Save As dialog box that pops up, I'm going to save this to my desktop, and I'm going to name it Import New Contacts Class 9, and today is the 30th, 30/21. Okay. Now, before I complete this process, I have to make sure this, again, slow it down. I have to make sure that I come down to the file format for this file. This is the template that I downloaded from command, so I have a good sense that this is right, but I want to make sure that the file format is comma separated value CSV in parentheses. If you end up leaving it as Excel workbook, it's going to fail. It will not even import. If you come down here and make sure that comma separated values is checked, you're going to be fine. All right, so I'll click that, and I will now save this brand new thing to my desktop, and we're good to go. Okay, now that we've done that, let me come back over here, and we're going to switch back over to command, and we're going to look now at bringing that file in. All right, so here is my import screen that we saw a few minutes ago, and it says that I can drag and drop that file from my desktop onto this, or I can use my browser. I'm going to go ahead and use the browse button here so that you can actually see it. And when I browse for that on my desktop, I find my new contacts class import file, and I can locate that. And it's not showing up on the screen right now, but it's on my desktop and it's in that file. So I'll click OK. And you can see now that it says in the window, drag and drop, it says File, Import New Contacts Class 9/20/21 CSV selected. So I've selected the file that I'm going to import. We're here. We're at the last step right now. All we have to do is click on Import Contacts. Ready? Boom. We click on Import Contacts. We get a submitted. Now, there was an error. Remember, I forced an error in there. This one does not tell you that there's an error unless the whole thing fails. And you will see failed, not successful, didn't work, and you'll see possibly a reason why, but most likely not. So if you do see a failed import, it'll turn red and it'll say, nope, no good. Partial failures still show as submitted because some of the stuff was accepted. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to click finish here. And when we do that, I'm going to refresh my screen. Okay. Refresh the screen. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my notification bell. And on the notification bell, I've got a little notification that popped up and it says you have failed imports. So the system did in fact have failed imports, and some of them went in, some of them did not. So when you click on this thing that says tap to download CSV file, you can click that and it will download to your downloads folder the CSV file that is the failed file. So going to your downloads folder, you can now open that file. So once again, let me go ahead and open this up here so you can see it. And there we go. That's going to be this guy. I think it's this one. Yep, that's this one here. So you should be seeing my entire desktop. Yep. Okay, good. So here is the failed import screen. So I'm going to slide through this thing and see all the way to the right-hand side. Because oh, this is actually not the failed one. Sorry, that's not the failed one. That's the good one. Here's the failed one. Let me open up that, make it bigger for you. And it says right here, failed imports. Let me make that larger. I'll go ahead and zoom in so you can see it from 7 miles away. Here is the missing Victor Borg, right? So we'll go ahead and go sliding all the way across to the side. There's the information. And survey said, okay. So first must be a string, and the phone number must be a valid phone number. It looks like I have completely failed imports because the phone number must be a valid number and the string is wrong. So let's go back to the left-hand side here and see what's wrong with the phone number. And it looks like the phone number, the fake phone number that I used, 987, apparently is not a proper zip code. The system even recognized it. So if I was going to fix this, I would create a 603 or whatever it is and fix that phone number. So that's a great way, by the way, to tell you that you've got a fake phone number here. So I'm going to go ahead and do a 603 982 and then dash 1231. And then I'm going to fill that in there and hopefully that will give me what I'm looking for. Okay. And let's, okay, there. Now that takes care of all of the errors there. Now, to re-import this, you would have to start again, taking all of this information that I've just added. I'll go ahead and put in Victor here. And there we go. All right, so now I'm going to take a little bit of a shortcut here. I'm going to copy this information. And I'm going to go in behind the scenes here. I'm going to do a little zippity-doo so that you can see the end of the day. I'm going to download another copy of the template. So this is a second copy of the template. I'm going to replace the information in here with the updated names, updated phone numbers, and I'm going to go all the way off to the right-hand side here, and we can see that there's some extra columns that I do not need, so I'll kill those. This should, if I save it now, save it there. And I will switch back over once again to the Mac. There we go. And I'm going to get that folder, that file from, in this case, I put it in my downloads. And import. Great. Finish it up. And let's see after a refresh here if Mr. Victor Borg went in. Okay, no errors. All of your imports have been uploaded successfully. So I fixed the problem with the phone numbers and Victor. So now that I have that, I can probably search for Victor now. So if I search for my buddy Victor, and there is Victor Borg. Victor Borg with the 603-982-1231. There's the phone number there. There's his email address, and he's in my database. Now, additionally, there's two tags, Nottingham and seller. Those two tags were automatically added. And we also have an address here for his primary home address, and the primary is copied automatically for you to the mailing address. And look at my legal name here. You gotta love it. Okay, so this process can be a little bit daunting for you if you are not familiar with Excel. The trick is to go slow, and the trick is to follow along with the instructions that I've given you here, and to go and view that the article in KW, theanswers.kw.com, to follow along with importing contacts into Command. If you do this and you follow this video and follow this order, you will have a successful import, and you can import thousands of contacts at a time and get them into your system. And as of course, if you run into a problem and you need assistance, you can always reach out to me, and I am absolutely happy to help you out. Happy to help you out. So here is my contact information should you need to get in touch with me to go over this. It's robert.vincent@kwclm.com. Booking time with me on my calendar at timewithrobert.com. My Zoom room when we meet is KW Tech TV. The YouTube live streams are kwtechtube.com. And of course, we're here live on Facebook at facebook.com/groups/kwclm. And something to remember, I think I started to kind of allude to this morning. Remember that starting next week on Tuesday, we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. We're going to, not Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. We're going to go back to using Zoom as one of the tools that we can do, that you can join, and that is the KW Tech TV. So you can start to join me on Zoom again. We listened to you, we heard what you said, and we're going to bring back Zoom. And we're also going to be still broadcasting on the Facebook channel at the Facebook group, and we're still going to be broadcasting live on YouTube. So all of that will be happening. There's no excuse. There's no way that you can miss the trainings. Those are going to be starting on Tuesday, and we have new times. The Tech Tuesday looks like this now. Tech Tuesday starts at 11 a.m., and it's the DocuSign class. Every week, we're going to be going over different parts of DocuSign, different areas, different elements, and getting you through this program to become an expert. That's Tech Tuesdays at 11 a.m. is the DocuSign. At 1 o'clock is Command 101. And every week, we're going to be going over a topic in Command in the 101 series, where we're going to be getting you from contact to contract with an emphasis on building your contracts and your opportunities. At 3 o'clock, we do the Command 201, where we start taking Command and breaking it down into different sections for the marketing, for the consumer tab, all the different areas of Command. So we'll be jumping around and answering your questions on different areas. So Tech Tuesdays, chock full o tech on Tuesdays. Looking forward to seeing you there. I'm off tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. I'm off for the weekend, so I got a long weekend to freshen up and get ready for the new week of the new month. Everything's going to be happening. So it's going to be a big one. We're excited about it. Hopefully you'll be joining us for that starting on Tuesday next week. Have an awesome weekend, and we will be talking to you soon.